Okay, friends, my name is Neil, and as of now, I will be your master teacher on all aspects of gardening. But today we are going to be focusing on plant propagation. And there's one aspect we're going to be starting off with is what is known as air layering or circumposing. Now, if you look in front of me here, you see that we have one that is finished. That one is partially finished. What I'm going to be giving you an example of how one goes about preparing plant for plant propagation. Now, what you want to have a finished product, a finished plant that represents a nice balanced tree. So this would be a very good example of what you want. You don't want anything that is convoluted, twisted, or has so much branches in it. You want something that is straight so that when it is potted out in its permanent container, it has a balance. It grows nicely vertically instead of having to spread like a shrub. So that is why we always do selection of branches before we get go. So here we have an example here. If you look right here, we have what is known as a joint or node. Here's another joint or node. In between each joint or node, you have what is known as internode. Root, the energy that the plant need to produce roots will always be concentrated in the joint or node. So when we are doing our preparation, we select a nice plant. This is a representative of a nice balanced plant when it is finished. So the process is, or the operation is that a centimeter from the joint, you make a circular cut, and this is why it is known as circumposing. Circular cut, two circular cut, just like this, and then remove the bark. What you're actually doing is food is producing the leaves. Okay, so the inner core, the hard part here, is known as the xylem. It is a woody portion that takes water and minerals from the soil, from the medium, up to the leaves where the food is produced. Then the phloem, which is the bark, takes it back down to the rest of the plant. So what we are doing is to break the flow of the food going back down. So you remove the cambium. Same part we refer to as the bark. We take off the outer bark, and there's a thin film of bark that is left on the wood. So we scrape to remove that thin film, because what will happen later on, it will regenerate and give you back your bark or your skin. So remove it just like this. So what will happen, the food will concentrate right here, no way to go. It can't pass this divide to go down here. So the food will build up here. Now what it is doing during that process is known as callousing. And callousing is really the differentiation of tissues. So the differentiation of tissues, some will go to make phloem on the inside and generate root. So that is why it's very important that we remove this inner bark. Once we remove the inner bark, we can start the process of wrapping this this branch. Now, there are several approaches. It can be done. This will root naturally without any intervention of steroids or hormone, as they call it. But sometimes you want to really speed up the process, make a fast root generation. So we sometimes make natural or synthetic hormone or steroids to really boost root production. In this case, we use honey and cinnamon, natural stuff, and we give it a paint right here. This is a very potent solution that I've made. We use a Q-tip to paint the routing solution onto this cut end. Now the honey is an antiseptic, antiviral, antifungal. Once the honey is clean, it is antifungal, antibacterial, and antiviral. So we one process is finished. Then we have our kaya. This kaya is moist, and kaya is a byproduct of the coconut husk. So you get the coconut husk, you pulverize it, and what you have is this finished product. We call it cocoa peat, or kaya. Now, if you notice, I'm bringing this into a ball. We're going to take the ball and we're going to break it in two. So you have two halves. We're going to put in one on either side. Try to get this section here in the center of the ball. Then we put the next half here, still maintaining the ball. Then we have our aluminum foil. Now it's optional. We can use aluminum foil or we can use plastic. There are advantages and disadvantages in using either of them. So I'll explain that later on. So there's a special way to hold your aluminum foil so as not to disturb the ball that I'm holding with this hand. So it's a matter of manipulating your fingers, either of them. So I'll explain that later on. So there's a special way to hold your aluminum foil so as not to disturb the ball that I'm holding with this hand. So it's a matter of manipulating your fingers around the aluminum foil and to get it affixed to the ball of kaya that I'm now holding. So this is how it is held. You can't hold it like this because you're going to be having problems. You have to hold it like this. Then we do a quick exchange, still maintaining the ball, and we wrap. We turn, we twist, and we twist on the top here. Now, because of what we are doing, we trap some hair inside this ball here. So what we do, we just give it a little compress to squash out the air that is trapped inside here. So what you want to have is the moist kaya ball inside. So now it is firm and properly affixed to the stem. Now, going back to the different options, we can use plastic. As in this case, we have some little poly bags. I fill it with some of the kaya, moist kaya, and we make a cut right across here. This was done already. Removal of the bark and put on the solution, routing solution. So this is how it is done. You fill these bags, you give it a cut right there, and you put it like this. Make sure it is in the dead center of the kaya ball there. Then you close it in like this. And we use our tie strap to secure. So here we have both options, the plastic option, the aluminum option. Now, I mentioned about advantages and disadvantages. Let us look at the advantage in using your aluminum foil. Aluminum foil, it fixes itself easily. So it's just a twist at the bottom, a twist at the top. and you compress, and it is fixed. Now, roots naturally shy away. Roots naturally shy away from light. So within this space, aluminum space, it is dark inside. So root will develop better. Now, in the case of the plastic, it is a see-through situation. So the root will shy away from the light, and you will have rooting, but it's going to be internal. You're only going to see any root um, exposed or showing through the plastic here. So that's the difference between using the aluminum foil and the plastic. Now, during the disadvantage during daytime, because this is metal, the aluminum foil, it eats up. So the medium tends to dry out a little quicker than using the plastic. The plastic will retain moisture, more moisture inside for root development. But the thing is that to really find out if there is rooting inside here, sometimes you'd have to really peek inside here to see what is happening, because the roots will be on the inside more on the outside. In the case of this one, you just have to crack a little window inside here, and it's the roots already, because inside here is dark and the root will develop better. Too much light, the root will shy away from the light and root internally. Whichever the case is, you will have rooting take place, and you'll get success on both of them. Sometimes it's during the drought period, you may want to irrigate. You may want to irrigate either of them. So we normally get a drinking straw, we lower it in some water, put your thumb on top of the drinking straw, and then you lower it through a little window here to irrigate these. It's not oftentimes it's happen, but if there's a severe drought and you're not there to feed the mother plant with water, then you'll have a retardation of growth within these spaces. So sometimes it's based on observation. There's no leaf in our branch, in our fruition here. Then you punch a little window here, and you put some water inside there to really encourage root growth. Because if there's no moisture inside, the root, the point that we circumpose will be calloused, but no root manifesting. So that's why moisture has to be in it so that the root can develop and do well. So in the next video, the name of this plant is fig. It's the edible fig that the Bible refers to. So this is quite a nice, exotic, and tangy fruit. Some persons don't really like the taste of it because it's something that you have to acquire. But it's really nice and nectary in taste. So until next time, I'll be giving you more tips and plant propagation. We haven't scratched the surface yet, but we plan to do everything pertaining to gardening, from A to Z in gardening. So all the aspects of plant propagation will be visited, and you will see how plant propagation is the way to go and to make money out of this business of plant propagation.